Hi, Robin with Oxy-Dry. Yeah, that's snow. Well, sleet, I guess, more or less. It's like really small particulates of snow, but it looks like fog. But it's not really sticking. It's just probably just about freezing. The area I'm in here is called Upper Mission, and the weather that comes into the valley comes over the coast mountain range. It kind of comes into the Okanagan Valley, mostly predominantly in this area first. So if there's going to be snow, this is where it would usually start in the valley. So anyway, that's what's going on today. I think it's just about freezing. So yeah, the ground hasn't really gotten frozen yet or anything yet, so it's not going to stick. But we got it on the roof here and whatever. Winter's upon us, I guess. Rats. Anyway, I've been cleaning this carpet for a few years. They're moving out today. I probably cleaned it 4 or 5 times maybe, or something like that. Maybe a bit, maybe even, yeah, about that, I guess. Carpet is at least 15 years old. It is a polyester, possibly even a track. I can't tell the difference in the case like this because the age that it is, it's surprising that if it's polyester that it actually even still be here, but it actually is very worn in the traffic areas. I remember the first time I saw it, it was really bad, but they've been getting it steam cleaned and it wasn't looking good, but I came and cleaned it, and well, from then on I kept on cleaning it because it cleaned up really well and it stays clean, and they were really happy with the way things turned out. Yeah, you can see, like, for example, right here, the texture of the carpet. Here it looks great because this is under the bed, or the foot of I guess I'm at where the foot of that's weird. No, I'm at the side of the bed, but you can see right here the texture is just mushed together and felted together, and that's what it's like, basically all the traffic areas. So that can't be undone. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the carpet first with the Spinsafe brush, and then we'll switch over to a green stripe. Not too many stains on the carpet. There's a few. There's something nasty here, which was at the bedside table, I guess. Whenever I've cleaned it before, I've never cleaned the entire room because there was, dressers and a bed here, for example, and things like that. But yeah, so we're going to clean it and let's see what happens. Oh, I'll show you what else I'm doing here. I've got 2 sets of stairs, by the way, and they're, again, very worn. And they have a dog that sheds like crazy in here. I remember when I did the steps the last time, I filled up my shark like 3 or 4 times, just on the steps alone. But they had house cleaners in here yesterday, and they'd actually vacuumed everything. It looked like they did a really good job, but I did vacuum it again. And point about that, of course, what I mentioned is I've switched back over to the Hush Tone, Hoover Hush Tone, and once again, compared to the SEBO, I'm picking up so much. I'm having to empty the bag, replace the bag every few days, it seems. Whereas for the SEBO, I was going for a week or more without having to replace the bag, which it was a kind of a subjective observation, but my impression was the SEBO was not picking up anywhere near as well as the Hoover, and that's one reason why I switched back. But anyway, let's clean the carpet, and I got an interesting story to tell you. So let's start this up first. So here's the story. I was loading up my equipment into the van yesterday. I did a nice big furniture job, actually. A couple of sectionals and a couple of rooms. But anyway, as I was loading up the equipment into the van, all of a sudden there's this gentleman standing at the foot of at the back of the van, and I've never seen him before. Well, at least I don't think I've seen him before. And anyway, he just says to me, he starts off, he says, hi, he says, I own a carpet cleaning business, and the last year, my business has dropped about 50%. Are you finding it the same for you? And I was like a little, sort of taken aback at, his question, I guess. Anyway, you can see the brushes really lifting the pile here. But anyway, so I kind of did a double take. It's like, okay. I didn't. Well, mind you, I didn't recognize them. I don't even know most of the carpet cleaners in my area. Anyway, I just don't know them. But anyway, so I asked him, okay, well, what business are you talking about? So he told me the name of the business, and I immediately knew what business it was, because I'd actually known the original owner of the business, and this guy had bought the business about 15 years ago. And they use portable machines, ninjas, I guess, and that's been kind of their thing all these years. And I'm not saying whether that's that doesn't matter to me. I mean, that's just something to bear in mind. But anyway, so he says, my business has really dropped a lot in the last year. And he says, the phone just doesn't seem to ring instead of, I used to get all kinds of calls all the time, and now the phone's hardly ringing. And it's been like that basically for the last year. And he says, are you finding it the same? And I was, I thought, okay, what do I say? Because quite frankly, no, really, we don't find that. In fact, I was talking to my wife about it a little bit later, and she said, well, the last 3 years, our year ends have been literally within a few $1,000s of each other over the last few years. So I guess the answer to that question is no. We have not really seen any real dramatic difference in the volume of business that we're doing. There have been times when, like even right now, here we are, we're Christmas is just a few weeks away. In the past, I would have more work booked per se, but on the other hand, I don't actually try to work as much as I used to anyway, and I'm not there's that nasty stain there. Interesting. Anyway, how do I say this? Even though our volume overall of work is probably down over the last few years, I would say that's probably true. It hasn't actually affected our bottom line because of the size of the jobs that I'm doing. I might go and just do one job in a day, but that one job is, $1,500 or so. Because I do a lot of jobs where I go into the house and I do, maybe all the furniture and all the carpeting and everything, and we do quite a few like condo buildings and things like that, and we seem to be getting more pretty much every year. So, but anyway, as it turns out, this company is a company that actually he told me he does pay-per-click, which we don't do, and we thought about it, but decided no, we don't want to pay somebody to just click on an ad on the internet or whatever, and then they don't even actually book, but you still got to pay for it. And over time, here's a couple of things. Okay, now they are a coupon kind of advertising, like I've seen ads of theirs before, I guess, where 3 rooms, $99 or whatever, and so they're marketing per se, or advertising is a more accurate way of putting it, is basically a price point advertising, trying to get people to call because we've got such a good price for the cleaning. And that's kind of not unusual for most carpet cleaning companies tend to do that. But we don't do that and haven't I've done a couple times. I've tried that sort of thing. I remember years ago I did a Groupon just because I wanted to sort of get a feel of what kind of a customer we would end up getting that way, and it was not a good idea actually. We were really busy, but most of the people were all about the price and everything. So anyway, I remember the last time I was here there was a really nasty stain here, which obviously I got out and it has not come back. Got to mention that. But anyway, so yeah, they're a price point marketing, which means that one of the things that will happen is that when there is economic downturn, you know, in your country or your state or province or whatever, the people that are going to react to that more than others would be the people who are on the people who generally would want to shop at Walmart, if you get my drift. And in other words, the people that are more focused on getting the cheaper price are usually the people that are more reactive when there's an economic downturn, because they feel it the most and they feel it first. So I think, as I was thinking about it afterwards, I was thinking, and I've always thought that actually, but I realized, yeah, that's more than likely at least a major factor. And there's another factor too. I was a little surprised when I got home. I did a little quick search on the internet for his business, and I was a little surprised to discover he doesn't have a website, and that's not a good idea. I know that there's probably some of you guys out there that are watching my videos that maybe you don't have a website, but you will definitely limit yourself if you don't have a website. And you don't have to have a fancy website. You don't have to spend a lot of money, just as long as you have got somewhere for people when they're going to go, if they look for you or they look for a carpet cleaning service. We get a lot of people that go to our website, and on our website there's information about what we're doing and why we do it the way we do it and what sets us apart and all that kind of stuff. So a website is really a good idea. Our website, if you haven't been on the Oxy-Dry website, go check it out. It goes into quite a bit of detail and is designed the way that it is for very specific reasons, and I won't explain that on this video because there's some things that I'd rather not share actually. But there's a reason why things are done the way they are. And I think that what we've been able to show over the years is that our combination of the way we do things really works. He also said something else interesting. He said, I was talking about my wife answering the phone and everything, and he says, I guess you have a Rolodex and your wife is you guys contact your customers afterwards. And I said, well, actually, no, we never do that. We never, ever contact our customers after the fact. We don't send out reminders or anything. We've always been told by experts in the business that you should do that, but I've never done that. I've literally, oh no, that's not true. We did try it very briefly a few years ago, and I immediately realized that it's going to take a lot of time, and it actually costs a lot of money, especially, I think if I remember correctly, we were actually mailing, which was ridiculously expensive very quickly. But emailing, you know what? A lot of people don't want to get more emails. They just don't. We get enough garbage in your email anyway. I don't think people want to have that sort of thing going on, so that's just my thought. Okay, let's get rid of this. Okay. Again, look at this. Throwing up all kinds of crap. Even though the carpet's been thoroughly vacuumed twice. Okay. Okay. Now we'll go over every inch with the green stripe pad. Anyway, so I found that to be an interesting conversation. I don't really have any idea what's going on with other carpet cleaners in my area because I really don't talk to them. I don't know most of them. Yeah. But I thought that was interesting what he said, and I can see mistakes that are being made. As I say, the price point marketing on the end, I think, leaves you in a vulnerable position when there's economic downturn. Mind you, how do I say this? Man, that is just not wet enough. Believe it or not, it's just actually not wet enough. That's a little surprising. That's better. Yeah. You find yourself in a vulnerable position if your focus is on the people who are looking for the cheaper price all the time. The people that we focus on, the high-end market, which is what I said to the guy, is that's our market is, we tend to go for the high-end market. That's our focus, because as someone using the SETT method, one thing you realize if you're doing this method is you realize that if you've been steam cleaning, you'll quickly understand that you spend a lot more time on the job than if you were steam cleaning, because most guys steam cleaning, they're not going to bother pre-vacuuming. They just come in, they spray the carpet down, they put the wand down, and away they go. So the actual amount of time you spend on the carpet, because you spend probably more time actually vacuuming than actually cleaning. So you have to charge for the time that you're taking and for the effort you're putting in. You got to charge more. It's not about trying to match the price of the steam cleaning guy that comes in and runs through the house practically as fast as he can run. You know, they're in and out of the house within an hour, and for you go into the house and you spend that exact amount of time just vacuuming the carpet. You can't exactly compete price-wise. So that's why your pricing should be more, but then you've got to be able to justify that and explain that to your customer. And that's one of the reasons why our website is the way that it is, where we explain exactly what it is you're getting. And that's the difference, and that's why we market rather than simply advertise. If you advertise pricing and that's your main focus, well, you'll get people who shop on the basis of price. They go, okay, your price is, I'll go with you because you're a little bit less than that last guy who gave me a quote. And the actual amount of work you have to do in order to actually generate a decent living over time, you actually have to do more work. to put money into your pocket at the end of the day, generally speaking. So, anyway, those are some thoughts. Okay. Let's move the door out of the way. Carpet is fluffing up nicely. Yeah, the carpet is actually cleaning really nicely. Well, I've been cleaning it for a few years, so that's to be expected. Okay. Like I said, last time I was here, there was a very nasty stain right at this doorway, and I obviously got it out, and it obviously never came back. Oh yeah, it's damp enough now. Ideally, I want carpet to be damp for at least 20 minutes. 30 minutes would be the ideal window. Well, anyway, that was an interesting conversation I had there, and with the fellow. He bought the business from I knew the original owner of the business, and oh my goodness me, he was a piece of work. But and then he sold it, and he told me what he paid for it. I won't tell you what it was here, but I guess it was an okay price for the business. And he's been at it for 15 years and managed to do all right, I think. But obviously he's quite concerned about the drop of the business, and for having a month or two of dramatic drop of calls coming in is one thing, but to go a whole year, which is what he said, that's definitely that's more than a blip. That's a very definite trend, and actually I would say that that's a wake-up call for all of us, actually, especially those of us who are in Canada. Now, we know that there are some really significant issues going on, economically speaking, which are all negative will have a negative effect on economy. It just goes from bad to worse, and this will be having an effect on us all. And one of the things I did say to the guy, I said, well, you know, one thing to bear in mind is that because you're a portable operator, you have very low overhead. You don't have, you know, you haven't had to pay out $100,000 for a truck mount in a van, and the cost of operating, putting gas and repairs and all that kind of stuff into a truck mount. Basically, I said you're in a, you know, you don't have to do a lot of work in order to make a decent living. Maybe you're not making as much money as you were before, but as long as you can get some work coming in, your overhead is so low. That's definitely a positive thing anyway. You know, actually the last 2 or 4 years, I've seen probably at least 2 or 3 guys in my town went and bought themselves brand new truck mounts, and that's really impressive in a sense, you know, because I can say, yeah, look at me, I've got a wonderful powerful tool and everything, which, well, actually it doesn't impress me at all, but the thing about it is that that's an awful lot of money that they have to fork out, and they have to earn. Now maybe they're in a position where if you've got maybe your wife has a decent job, and you know you're not really fully dependent upon the income of your carpet cleaning business, and you know, then it's a kind of a different scenario, I guess, but not everybody has that. But yeah, I don't know what the answer is. There is a decrease in the amount of carpeting. I would say a lot of people are going to the hard floors, although that'll come back, always does. But anyway, you know, just some things to think about. I'd be interested to know if you guys who are watching my videos, are you finding a pattern, a downturn, a diminishing of work in where you are? And if you do want to comment, tell us where you are, and be interesting to know. Yeah, I'm thankful that at the moment, anyway, we have had our income has managed to remain pretty consistent. So, and I did one thing I did also say to them is, you know, whatever you do, when you go out there and you clean for people, maybe you've got less volume of work. I said, make sure you just do the absolute best job that you possibly can, because when people see you really making the effort and, you know, going above and beyond and whatever, that's what you've got to do nowadays. You got to treat every customer with that kind of consideration, because if you've done a great job and they see that, they become, at least potentially, will become your greatest cheerleader, and that is your greatest asset, is those customers that you've impressed. Although I, quite frankly, I'm certainly glad I'm not a steam cleaner, whether it be truck mount or portable, because, well, I don't think that's the way to go, but obviously I'm fully committed to the SETT method and its many advantages, performance-wise, and is just as a business model, I think it's a much better way to go, but that's just me. But anyway, let's go over here, and we'll take a look at this pad, see how it looks. Of course, I will be coming back up here and vacuuming this whole thing again. Surprisingly, or interestingly, I actually got not very much hair actually came up, pulled up. So that's a good sign that they vacuuming twice. The house cleaners did it yesterday, and then I did it again today. So we definitely got quite a bit of hair up. Although, as you can see, there's still more that was pulled up and thrown up there with the Spinsafe brush. So it does pull up a lot of hair. But let's have a look. Not too bad looking. Okay. All right. We'll let you go. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.